Today's episode of the Cantina is brought to you by Grow Generation. Whether you're at the Death Star or the Senate, they have everything you need to grow right where you are. More from them later in the episode.
Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina Podcast, we provide top-shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. Gotta unmute us. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the Cantina Podcast. It's LRM's Genreverse Podcast Network's only Star Wars podcast, but that doesn't change the fact that it's the best Star Wars podcast out there in the wonderful genreverse, as we like to call it. I am one of the hosts of this show, Kyle, and I am joined today by pretty much our co-pilot, Shockey. What's up, bud?
I think of myself like as a C-3PO. You know,
okay.
You and Cam are Han and Chewie, and I'm in the back, and every so often I'll chirp in and stuff.
You're the navigator.
Yep, navigator. Yeah. And then when you tell me to shut up, I'll shut up.
Oh man, I really appreciate you guys holding down the fort last week. I had some personal issues, some technical issues, and a crazy lead up to the 4th of July, but it was good nonetheless. And here we are, another day, another trip to the Cantina.
There we go.
So Star Wars news has been, here and there. So somebody will say something, somebody will bring up something from the past.
Yep.
We'll spend three weeks on Rogue Squadron. But it's been kind of relatively peaceful, which is eerie and scary because it's almost like a calm before a storm.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think it's a good thing to have no news is kind of good news type deal, because it's not. If you think about it, we're not having a director change, screenwriting, scripts, being thrown out the window, reshoot. So that's good. I like that. And I think a lot of the big news is being held off for Star Wars Celebration in May next year. So we just gotta tread water for right now, and then come May, everything's gonna explode, and the amount of Star Wars news and trailers.
Not May. No, yeah.
It got moved up to May. May next year. Yeah. So we're let's say you're
thinking. Yeah, man, it is. It's eerie to think about how much Marvel was able to just churn out TV wise, and the kind of slow burn for Disney Star Wars. I mean, but it's going to start picking up next year. I mean, It's going to hit real fast, from Book of Boba Fett to things like Andor, Obi-Wan, and then Mando season 3 and Ahsoka. The exact lineup for those aren't 100% set in stone yet, other than Book of Boba Fett's next. But once that happens, it's going to be pretty exciting. A lot of things. Not just when trailers and things hit next year at Celebration, but just the idea of all of the production stuff that's going to be coming out inevitably here soon. I'm really excited about some of that.
I think in a sense for those who were not fans of the original or the sequel trilogy, the biggest claim was rushed. It wasn't well thought of, and things didn't. So I think it's a good thing. Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Favreau, whoever, the creative team behind all these things that are going on have taken their time. They've learned from their mistakes, which understandable. And now is taking their time, where Marvel had 10 plus years to put everything together. We were spoiled from Marvel having so many movies come out at one time. But if you think about it, there was just Iron Man one year, then there was just Captain America one year. The Incredible Hulk, went through cast changes and stuff and everything. There's conflict behind that. So I am thoroughly happy with everything that's going on with Star Wars right now. I know you have your little hesitancies when it comes to like things like Rogue Squadron or even like the Acolyte. I know some people are kind of up in the air about
the High Republic stuff. Impressed with much of the stories coming out of that.
I mean, I haven't. So I got into a little bit in the beginning of the High Republic, and then it kind of just faded away from me. I'm now into the War of the Bounty Hunters with Boba Fett story. That's kind of interesting to me now. The second story's coming out with that. So that to me is good enough for me. And for those who are into High Republic, good for you. Just not my cup of tea there.
Yeah, it's not. And look, I do have, like I said, some issues with some of the stories.
Right.
What the catastrophe is, Yoda's place, but Yoda, him existing, is my biggest problem with it, and it's why I'm like, a 1,000 years into the past or 1,000 years into the future, please, and let's get away from this stuff that we already know, because like even talking Rogue Squadron, which you guys got to talk a bit about last week, the writer was announced two weeks ago, but we didn't get to talk about it until last week. There's not a lot of the most famous thing he's done is monster trucks, about a tentacle alien monster in the engine compartment of some pickup truck. It looks like a bad anime that starts with an H word. And then you start thinking about Patty Jenkins and her own comments on her creative freedoms for Wonder Woman versus her creative freedoms for Wonder Woman 84. And you look at those two movies and you go, okay, so she had more freedom by her own words. She had more control over 84 than she did the original.
Right.
And you start freaking out because like you're like, you guys aren't taught. I know for a fact from Mike Stackpole's mouth, he's not involved. He's not asking to be. He's not demanding. Consummate professional. He might have some feelings that are different than what he puts out to the public. That's his business. I always said I'll be pissed off for him. But me and the hundreds of tens if not hundreds of thousands of others, but it's kind of just worrisome when you can start, and the internet is at fault for this, because think about back when the only movie news, the only way you got to know producers or directors were if you were picking up a trade paper or a magazine like Film or something like that. Now you and I, we can start naming sound editors. We can name, regular editor. We start getting excited when we're like, oh, this DP's on a film, and that kind of comes to bite us in the ass, because now we all know these writers more than we ever did before, and we're like, whoa, wait, you're doing what project? Sometimes it works. Look at the guys that did all the stuff with the Russo brothers, and the stuff from Office and Community and thing. You would never expect them to do what they did for Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. So it's not like the coffin's not sealed. I have no hope.
The internet's kind of our blessing and our curse at the same time. We get all this information, and we sometimes use this information and stress ourselves out over it, where, like you said before, pre-internet days, you would have to have a trade or, check on one of the few magazines that you could get at a bookstore to get, information like that. And yeah, I mean, you might look at it and say, oh, okay, interesting, whatever. But now with so much access to information, when, like you said, when a writer's announced, you can basically look up his entire backstory in 5 minutes and say, oh, I know that work, I don't like that work. And then it puts a kind of a bad taste in your mouth already and stuff. So, hopefully, we're in a good place. I think that, some of the things that have been said about Rogue Squadron, because I know that's kind of the one you're looking most forward to, we've seen that Patty Jenkins, prior to the announcement, had already been working on the project. I think she said for a couple months, 6 months.
6 months they've been on. They are wrapping up the story.
Right. And so what was crazy about that was that, I don't know if you remember, but it was kind of, I think, a month or a month and a half before the announcement at the Investors Day, we ran a story saying that Lucasfilm was working on an animated project, focusing on Rogue Squadron and everything. Yeah. So it was in there. The rumblings were in there. It just didn't put it all together. And my sources, as great as they are, sometimes they do fail me. And in that case, they did. For the full announcement, but. I love what Patty Jenkins has done with Wonder Woman. I didn't really like Wonder Woman 84. I like, what she did with Monster. There's other projects as well. She was the director for a couple episodes of Entourage, one of my favorite films back in the early TV shows or in the early 2000s on HBO. I think that she's going to do it right, but it's just one of those things that I don't know if we have to take. We're more than likely have to take a kind of a step back and say, okay, everything that we know from what Mike Stackpole created, we've got to let that go.
Jettison it. Yeah. I mean,
and say, all right, new story, new, and I hope, like you, it's something to go away from the Republic, the Empire, its own creation. I think Cam and I were talking about that last week. Is that it's sometimes too much in a little confounded time. I think the Mandoverse is kind of finishing up the Return of the Jedi storyline that we've been, always thinking about. But having a movie as well on top of what the Mandoverse timeline is, I mean, let's go a little bit further, or a little bit backwards if you want to do it that way. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. As long as it's not within the original trilogy timeline, I think we're okay. Yeah. If we're in that, then for fans like you and I who know the Stackpole, books, that's going to be tough for us. But who knows?
I kind of look at it like this. At first I was like, let's take the idea of Stackpole's books and just change some things up. So it's not Admiral Akbar, it's Admiral Antilles. It's not Commander Antilles reform Rogue Squadron to be a PR group. It's Commander Dameron or Commander whatever, you are now in charge of Rogue Squadron. And then you do something similar where you're taking, and this is key, and this is what scares me most about this. I've got this god-awful feeling we're getting Top Gun in space, where we're going to see pilot training. Now, yes, there is Rogue Squadron is training together for the initial part of the first book, but they aren't in flight school. These are the best pilots in the galaxy, with some caveats and some dovetails there for political purposes when you're talking about the Bottons and the Mon Cal. And God, the EU gave us such great politics that didn't bore us, but there's that fear that we're just going to get a bunch of pilots in training, and I don't want that. I want more like Battlestar Galactica. Like,
Okay.
that's what I want. All the time we spend with Starbuck and Apollo and the Raptor pilots and stuff. That's the type of Rogue Squadron. I wish it had been a series, animated, fine, if it didn't, so long as it didn't look like Resistance. But yeah, man, I just it's scary because this is the next Star Wars movie. This is using a very, very, very sensitive property within Star, like Rogue Squadron. If you think about it, considering the games, the comics, and the novels, and toys, even, it is like a franchise within, right?
Right.
And if you've already got the bigger franchise of Star Wars teetering, it's always volatile these days, and anything bad can just set it off. And what happens, if Rogue Squadron's not good? Like, we know Taika's going to go into his soon. No one knows much about Feige's except the writings happened. Or
right.
happening.
Yep.
And but we know that Rogue Squadron is up next, man. What if that fails? What does that you'll at least get one more, Taika's or Feige's, or maybe they're one and the same, who fucking knows, people lie all the time.
Right.
But you're going to get two, because one of them's going to be in production when Rogue Squadron hits. What if it sucks though, man?
Well, if it sucks and it doesn't do well at the box office, I think that's the last we see of a Star, fighter squadron type movie. Mm-hmm. I think if it does really well, then you can branch out. You can go in different timelines of the galaxy, Star Wars, and do things like this, and not necessarily do like Rogue Squadron 2, but you can continue on. So you're saying you would prefer something not like of a Top Gun-esque type movie,
no, I mean,
it's a school and you get the best of the best, and there's a conflict within the group, and then we have to buddy together in order to defeat the bad guy.
No, I want combat.
You want more combat than anything. I think something along the lines. So I agree with you. I think we already know good versus bad technically in the Star Wars realm, right? I mean, you don't have to necessarily call it the Rebellion and the Empire. You could, figure something, if you want to go completely brand new, and know that there's the good side and the bad side, and the good side has their specific type of, fighter squadrons. The bad side has their type of fighter squadrons. There's got to be some sort of mission to save a planet or save a colony, whatever, and go about it that way. Similar to, what is it, like the what was the old 90s game? The
X-Wing and TIE Fighter and X-Wing.
Well, you had,
TIE Fighter,
of course, you
X-Wing.
have those, of course, but was it Flight Commander? Wing Commander. There we go.
Buddy.
Remember Wing Commander? That necessarily, you just jumped right in. And you knew good, bad, enemy, shoot down, boom, save the world, save the planet, save the galaxy type deal. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. Just to me, I was kind of joking around with my friends. Please, for the love of God, do not make it about the Death Star or a new Death Star. No. We don't need that. We don't need another Death Star on that. We're good.
Look, and yes, this is fanboy. Kyle's speaking 1,000%. You can easily take the story, like I said, of Stackpole's books and transport it 40 years into the future, and 45, whatever it is. And you all of a sudden have this new Republic that is taking over from the First Order, and maybe the First Order did set up on Coruscant. So you do send Rogue Squadron on a mission to take Coruscant, because you say, hey, it was dumb to have the capital traveling around the galaxy.
Right.
We need the centralized. You sometimes you need that beacon, right?
Mhm.
In the UK, they've got their crown. The United States has DC. The White House is
Mhm.
that symbol. So maybe you go back and use that. You can dive into some of the politics, like Stackpole did in his books. So you're able to tickle that part of my brain,
Right.
but you're using all new characters. Like I said, I almost don't want them to use Dameron if that's a potential idea that they had, just simply because I want more separation.
Right.
And while I wasn't a fan of the sequel trilogy, it's not that I want separation because it's like, oh, that's not canon or whatever. No, it's just it. All of it's tainted to me. Like everything from 1 through 3.5, the animated stuff, and everything from like after Mandalorian forward right now is just, it's too much. It's too
Okay.
much hit or miss. Where the prequels were way more misses than hits, and the sequels were a little bit more even with their hits and misses. I want to watch mostly hits. So for me, that's
Right.
Rogue One, 4, 5, and 6. And Manny brought up something over on our other show, the Daily Cog, and that's every Monday through Friday in the mornings / afternoon. Hit subscribe on YouTube to catch that, and thank you. He had mentioned that he was afraid the Mandalorian might not hold up on rewatch. And I started thinking about all the times I would complain about, like, establishing shots lasting too long, or a travel shot lasting too long, and still giving it these really high reviews. And I'm starting to feel like, Manny, maybe the sequel trilogies, smudges all over the shiny metal that is Star Wars, combined with the prequel trilogy, especially in my mind's smudges. Maybe the Mandalorian's really not all that great. I don't know. It's kind of a scary thought.
I think with it, you're comparing two different projects. Like when you're talking about something about the Mandalorian, of course there's going to be episodes on there that, like, you're going to say, like, this isn't my favorite one, or this was a filler episode. That's always the most common thing, and you don't go to those ever again. My favorite show, I think, of all time is The Office, and there are some episodes that went on Comedy Central. When they're on, I will, like, stop whatever I'm doing and watch it. Doesn't matter.
Stream it right
now.
Yeah,
and I could recite it word for word. And then there's still a lot on there that I'm like, move on. And the same thing with The Mandalorian. Season 1, I go to more. I see rewatching and kind of just like picking up little tidbits than Season 2. Season 2, I think, was a lot of introduction episodes. The frog lady, type episode where they're stranded on the ice planet and stuff. It was okay. And I'm going through that a lot with The Bad Batch right now. Watching The Bad Batch. I love the Clone Wars animated series. I know that there's a lot of filler episodes in there, a lot of episodes that deal with storylines that don't particularly go well, like bode well for me. The Bad Batch is starting to become like that. I'm getting really kind of like not necessarily bored with it, but just it's like I need to know where the end result is. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, Filoni's got he has a method to his madness of, like, these little episodes. I call it filler episodes. We'll see later on down the line. Like it will all come to in a full circle. Same thing with Star Wars Rebels. I think the first season of Star Wars Rebels is absolute trash. Like I don't watch it. I watched it one time through, and I recommend people, like, don't even bother with it, go through seasons 2, 3, and 4, and you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, and even in there's some episodes I'm like, you know. So when it comes to movies, though, I think you got one chance at it, one strike at it. And I think, like you said, Rogue Squadron hit it out of the park. That's a movie that whenever it's on TNT, Rogue One, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When Rogue One, you know, is on TV, or, you know, I'll pull it up and I'll stop and watch it. Same thing with the original trilogies. Now, I know you and I differ on the prequel trilogies, you know.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, if it's in the last half, post Pod Racer, I'm into it. Pre Pod Racer, don't even get me started on that part. But you know, post Pod Racing, I'm into the, you know, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, you know, and then Revenge of the Sith, of course, the lightsaber duel that we will not talk about, whatever. But I will definitely watch that. But yeah, so Rogue Squadron, if it's a one-off, you got one chance. You're basically in Rogue One territory. So you better have a great script, great acting, and so forth. And I can only imagine what the original plot of Rogue One would have been. You know, because remember, there was director change, screenwriting change. There was a lot of editing, a lot of things in this trailer that we didn't get in the actual film. Imagine how different of a, you know, movie it would have been. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. Always got to bring it up, man. Always got to bring it up. It's artwork right there.
That's art right there, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest lightsaber duel ever.
That took all of 3 seconds out of that whole deal. Oh man.
Last thing on starfighters and stuff like that. I caught something online yesterday that really excited me, because I've been bitching and complaining about a lack of space fighter sims. And you mentioned Wing Commander, which is amazing, and Mark Hamill played Colonel Blair, the lead character in 3, 4, and 5, as well as voiced for the animated show as well. So really cool thing. The mod community out there working off of a mod for X-Wing Alliance actually created a total conversion for TIE Fighter.
Oh,
the
wow.
old 1994 TIE Fighter. And I'm going to skip ahead so people can see this is what we got with some of the older graphics.
Wow.
And the total conversion.
Brings back so many memories. Wow, look at that.
Isn't that amazing? I can't wait. I tagged Mike Stackpole in it, who told a really good, fun story on Twitter about the research he did to write the books when he went and bought a gaming PC to play this and X-Wing and so I tagged him in their tweet for this mod, and dude, I'm stoked. He's stoked. He's just like I think he said something like "shut up and take my money" or "hush and take my money."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look at that. And this is all free. This is, you know, donation type stuff. So definitely support modders and things like that.
Yeah.
When you guys can. The legality of that, because it's free. It's a mod based on existing things that are out there. You could potentially see Disney do like they did with the person that was building a ground up Coder remake, I think it was, but his was a little different because I think he was doing like Unreal from the ground up, wasn't
right?
It's different if you're modding something that already exists.
Correct. It's like Battlefront 2 right now. If you go on Xbox or PlayStation or on Steam and you use the mods on there, technically you're not supposed to. If something happens to your game, like if you download a mod that isn't fully compatible with the game and it crashes the game, that's on you. But does it mean that you can't play it or modders can't go create it? Then no. But yeah, and that looks amazing.
It does. And here's the thing, because a lot of people were, and I'm gonna do a quick daily couple genre daily cog Tech Tuesday segment here. One of the things about the internet is once it's there, it's never gone.
Correct.
And because this is free, this person, the group that worked on it, of course, they put it out there. They're hoping for donations and things like that. But even they're aware, all it takes is one person to take it and go put it on torrent, and there you go. You know, don't be afraid. Disney could, on their website, do the whole we're gonna bleed you out of court fees to make you take it down, even though you legally probably don't have to.
Right.
They haven't done that yet. So yeah,
I don't think they will. I
hope not.
If it's out there for free, then it's one thing. If you're trying to make money off of it, that's where Disney really gets into it. I know that like Star Wars Theory, when he created his video or his mini movie Vader Immortal, I think it was Vader Immortal. So
yeah,
but yeah, there was a short time period where it got taken off of YouTube. Then they came to he came to an agreement with Lucasfilm and stuff, and was able to post it back up, and now he's working on the second project, and it's gone from there. So yeah, do you remember the old TIE Fighter PC game where you had to put 7 floppy disks you would install?
Yes, that's what they remade.
No, I agree. But just remember the installation process of that? It was 7 floppy disks. Load disk 1, boom, pop that out. Load disk 2, and so if you're young and you don't know what a floppy disk is, I mean, I feel sorry for you. It was a lot.
What were they? 5 1/4, 3 1/2, or 3 1/4, 5 1/2? But I can't. It was 3.48 megabytes, if I remember correctly.
Because X-Wing was on a CD. X-Wing you get on a CD and upload and upload it straight from the CD. But the TIE Fighter one was on straight floppy disk, and it was an absurd number of them, and you had to keep them all together. Because if your PC crashed and you had to reboot and stuff like that, and you had to reinstall, you needed all of them, whether it was like 5, 6, or 7 of them. And that was, I remember shaking the box and hearing all of them.
Not only that, but all the stacks of freaking 3 1/2. I was right.
Oh my gosh, 3 1/2.
Is the harder plastic floppies, and the 5 1/4 were the long ones. Anyways, before we get to talking a little bit about Zack Snyder, let's take a quick word from our sponsors over at Grow Generation.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation is your one-stop shop for hydroponic grow supplies, product systems, and more. Grow Generation serves customers across the nation and carries a wide inventory of renowned cultivation brands. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
All right, we are back. Thank you, Grow Generation, for sponsoring today's episode. If you guys do check them out, let them know that LRM's Genreverse Podcast Network sent you the Cantina, or whatever your favorite podcast is, because they sponsored the network. So it's yay! Oh God, Zack Snyder. We got to talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So apparently in, what was it, 2010?
2010.
I've heard he made a pitch to Lucasfilm. Some sites are wrongly saying he made a pitch to Disney, but they didn't purchase it until 2012. So he made a pitch to Lucasfilm. Ran by who? Exactly. Anyways, he was shot down. That's fine. Lucas he is Lucas, so he was going to do what he did, and I don't think he ever cared for the idea of spin-offs and things like that very much. But this idea of his is now getting made into a Netflix film called Rebel Moon, where he's taking Seven Samurai again and doing a sci-fi movie where someone's out to seek an army to take on the bad guy.
Right.
Dude, Manny brought up a really good point. We this just created the world's most potential toxic swarm, as the Snyderverse crowd and the small but vocal, legitimately and I'm look, guys, I'm right there with you on calling out what is BS. You know, things like not explaining Rey's powers until much later. That was crap, and we all know why they didn't explain it, because they didn't know themselves. Right. I'll call out bull crap like that, but dear God, some of the things people will complain about is dumb. But dude, Snyder stepping his toes into the Star Wars fandom. What do you make of that?
So, what was Revenge of the Sith? 2005? Yeah. Okay. So it's 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. And at that point in time, the Star Wars fandom was really toxic. So I do not blame Lucasfilm, whoever, passing on whatever Zack Snyder's vision, he had, because at that point in time, I don't think there was going to be any movie saying, let's try it out, let's go for it and stuff, because I think everybody was. And also too, you had Clone Wars, I think season 3 at that point in time. So Lucas was basically focused on that. His vision was more in the animated storytelling than anything else. So I don't blame at that point in time, but for Netflix to just pick this story up and it being so tied to, I love Zack Snyder. I think he's a great person. I think that what he's done in the past 2-3 years, with the whole restore the Snyderverse and the amount of interviews he's done about it and stuff like that, and how he's not held any type of ill will towards anybody for it is pretty amazing. But I think I don't know if you saw Army of the Dead at all, and your thoughts on it and stuff like that. It was like, okay, it was entertaining. But I just feel like there's going to be too much toxicity, kind of like you're saying with the Snyder fans versus the Star Wars fans. You're going to have Star Wars fans constantly, compare it to, this movie to Star Wars. And then you're going to have the Snyder fans just be, no matter what it comes out to be, saying it's the greatest thing in the world. So
best sci-fi movie ever
right. So
Snyder beats Dune.
Yeah.
Snyder beats
Snyder Wars. They're going to be like, bring back the Snyder Wars, and stuff. And so to me, it's like, it's going to be great for Netflix because it's going to be a lot of publicity.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time
and
too,
it could be an amazing movie. We're not.
I actually like Zack Snyder's visions, like in his movies. There are a couple that that I can do without, whatever, but I enjoy them. I don't think that they're Oscar worthy, movies, but at the same time, I'm very entertained, and that's all I ask. I don't, need to be like, wow.
He's got a good eye for things. We looked up his rap sheet, if you will. Dude has not done a traditional sci-fi film. The closest would be Watchmen, which isn't really sci-fi, no more than any other superhero film is. And so this will be his first film, allegedly doing either a true science fiction or a science fantasy like Star Wars, space opera, as Lucas liked to
space
call
opera,
it.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because
there's what do you consider Sucker Punch? Is that
I called it
fantasy?
I called it science fantasy-ish because it's kind of got the steampunk element to it, and then the fantastical stuff with the I don't know if people want to not be spoiled for an old ass movie, but mental health shit going on. And I I don't know. It's borderline, just like Watchmen. Watchmen's not traditional superhero. It
Right.
also has a lot of sci-fi elements to it, not just with Dr. Manhattan's creation, but just the mystery element, the way the bad guy is, the ambiguity of science and nuclear power is always something that was explored in that genre in science fiction of the age Watchmen is trying to emulate. And I don't mean the 80s. Alan Moore is definitely trying to emulate that 50s pulp type world set in the 1980s. But I'm interested to see what he can do with a science fiction budget and a science fiction vision.
What if he incorporates zombies into it? Because that's been his wheelhouse.
Zombies.
Could you imagine a Star Wars / zombie film put together? That to me would be amazing.
Marvel, hello.
Yeah.
You know, what is the other thing that we're supposed to talk about?
Temuera Morrison's.
Oh yeah.
If you want to do that.
Why don't you talk a bit about that, man? What do you have to say?
So Temuera Morrison is promoting a new project he's working on. It's supposedly coming out soon. It's overseas. I don't think it's coming to US anytime soon. But he sat down with the Express UK and did an interview. And of course, whenever Temuera Morrison sits down for an interview, you got to ask, hey, how's everything going with the Book of Boba Fett or, any other Star Wars projects? And so he pretty much kept it, when it came to the storyline of Book of Boba Fett, saying can't say anything about it. But he did give out a couple details that I think that were rumored, not necessarily confirmed. First one was that Dave Filoni, Bryce Dallas Howard, Jon Favreau directed, don't know how many episodes, but directed during, the Book of Boba Fett, which we kind of had an idea that was, we didn't really know about Bryce Dallas Howard, but
yeah, that was surprised me.
That was very surprising.
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
Yeah. But Robert Rodriguez was kind of the one that was tapped because to do Book of Boba Fett, and I figured he was going to do, if not all the episodes, majority of the episodes on there because of how well he did the episode when we see Boba Fett finally come back into his armor and everything. And so that was interesting. So some theories are now starting to come out, what episode do you think Filoni, directed? Because of course he did Mando season 2 with Ahsoka. So does that mean that we're going to see another character from the animated series that hasn't debuted yet, during that time period? Something, maybe Sabine Wren might be that
was that rumor,
connection.
Yeah, there was that rumor of Sabine, that Sasha Banks' character was going to be
correct.
Sabine Wren. So.
Ended up being Casca Reeves on there.
Yep.
And then the other tidbit on there was how, and this is something I think we've covered before, it's something, it just basically, for those who were, questioning about it, is that Book of Boba Fett is considered more of a season 2.5 to Mando, that it's going to be its own thing, but also have some links to the Mandoverse. It's going to, like Phoenix Chan is Phoenix going to be in there. We've talked about some of in our breaking of stories that some of the old original bounty hunters like Bosk are going to be in there. It's going to connect the two eras together, and so I think that having Bryce Dallas Howard, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni direct, that's a good way. I mean. I think that it's good choices there. The Mando season 2.5, that's not too much of a shocker to me, but I think for some people it was like, oh my gosh, it's going to connect it. Some people thought that it was going to be its own separate show, not connected to Mandoverse at all. And I don't know.
So some of the stuff from the War of the Bounty Hunter comic books has kind of, worried me about their direction, because in my mind, here was Fett. You're showing me that yes, he's a man of his word and his honor, but he's still he wants to be the king of the bad guys, is kind of what I felt as from what we saw at the end of Mando season 2. But Manny says that they're really trying to aim him down the anti-hero lane with the War of the Bounty Hunter books. We have recent, uproar over renaming his
Slave One ship. Yep.
Slave One ship being renamed for at least toys marketing. We don't know about stories, reprints or anything. It was one product, one department that all spun from.
Right.
But what do you? I kind of want him to be a bad guy, and I was really kind of hoping this would see him basically telling tales of how he got to where he is and what he was trying to do, and how that's what he's trying to continue on. And I'm hoping and praying to God that somebody lets him say, I'm building Black Sun or resurrecting Black Sun, because I'm sorry guys, but saying Crimson Dawn, using Crimson Dawn was one of the stupidest things in that Solo movie, and it was filled with stupid things. But no, I mean, wouldn't that be great to see him say, Black Sun, like, even if he's the founder of it here in this post Return of the Jedi world.
Yeah, so I definitely think Black Sun would be amazing if they brought it into the show. I agree with you and kind of Manny is like they're kind of building up to be the anti-hero. And the reason why is because like you see Fennec's character in Bad Batch. She is a bounty hunter, but she has, her morals,
Well, they want to sell toys, and it's hard to sell
right, yeah,
bad guy.
And so I think that what we're gonna get with Book of Boba Fett is kind of a thing where I think Boba's going after those who did him wrong on Tatooine and some of the other jobs he did beforehand, but then people like Din Djarin, people like Fennec, he's gonna stay loyal to. It's just you're gonna have that both sides to it. Like if you did Boba wrong earlier, he's gonna come kill you.
Look, go ahead.
So, for example, we don't know how Timothy Oliphant's character Cobb Vanth got Boba's armor.
Right.
So we don't know if that was a way of, or well, the Jawas. It could, because in the Mandoverse, Cobb Vanth sees it in the what is that called? The Sandcrawler, and gets it off of the Jawa. So we don't know exactly what happened in that point in time. And also, why did Boba allow Cobb Vanth to wear his armor for such a long time?
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to see the kind of that twist of the character a little bit there too. I just hope they don't. I really, really hope they don't go into the whole cloning process and how he's a clone, and so I just that's what
the animated
that's what Bad Batch is doing right now, and it's kind of like, okay, I get it. We Kamino's clone, like, let's move on with it.
My thought on what we were gonna see is basically, like I said, picking up right where we leave off with Mando season 2. He starts putting his hands and fingers into the criminal underworld. During that, each step is connected to something from his past. So we get to fill in some of the gaps, some of the stuff they might be covering in these comic books, things that happened right after Return of the Jedi, with the escape from the Sarlacc, and
right.
But not spending a whole episode on escape the Sarlacc, not a whole episode of Cloud City to Tatooine, not like that, but where we get our flashbacks, and but I still want to move forward. Like, I still want to see the story progress, because I'm kind, while I get it. You guys don't. The reason why they're making him more of an anti-hero apparently, and not going for the hardcore villain, which I kind of wish he was, because I was hoping for Sopranos, the bad guy that is a bad guy that you still root for.
Right.
That's what I wanted.
That's been Boba Fett for what, 25
that.
years, 30 years.
They can't sell that toy to today's 12-year-olds,
right?
10-year-olds, 8.
God, how times have changed. In the 90s, we bought up that stuff.
Yeah.
Boba Fett was a bad guy, and he was the hardest toy to get.
He was a bad guy. Like
Slave One ship was an awesome, awesome toy to have and stuff like that. So
yeah,
interesting enough. Yeah, there's two questions I really want to answer from the Book of Boba Fett. Number one is, what happened to his armor? Like, how did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? / how did the Jawas get his armor? And then where the hell was like his ship? Like, did he stay on Tatooine the entire time?
Yeah.
Until Din Djarin showed up and then said, okay, let me jump in my ship that's been over here parked for the past, 40 some odd years, because the Slave One's just sitting there. I mean, right. in Jabba's palace. Yeah. So he had to have left the planet. It's so funny we talk about the Kenobi series and saying, oh, there's no way Kenobi stayed on Tatooine that long, and just watched Luke Skywalker grow up. Like, he had to have been doing something else, right? And no one ever asked, like, what the hell? Like, Boba Fett's alive. Like, you're telling me he stayed on Tatooine the entire time, and his ship was right there.
Never left. Never left. Armor.
Like, what? Why did he? What was his deal? Like, was he? We know he has the Gaddafi stick, so we know he has some sort of relationship with the Tusken Raiders. Why does his armor go away? And then, if he does stay on Tatooine the entire time, why? Like, he's got a ship right there. You can't hide that,
No, you can't. We'll have to see December, right?
Right.
Yeah. Not a hard date yet, but December.
Hard questions there. What the hell happened to Slave One the entire time?
What parking lot? What shipyard was this at? Who was the valet, and how big is your tab? Oh man. Anyways, hey everyone, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please take time now, hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate that. Shares with some friends and family. We do Star Wars news here on the Cantina every Friday, whether it's pre-recorded or live. And like the title says, man, reliable. And we're not here to sell lies and hopes and dreams. We're here to have fun, be honest, and hopefully provide some counter to some of the madness that is out there, because there's a lot of it. But anyways, I love being what's the word I'm looking for? Objective,
sure,
unbiased in the reporting side, and clear when I'm.
We always have a little bias in us. We always have a little bias.
Yeah, clear when I'm giving an opinion versus the news aspect. Anyways, you can find us at the social media down below. Please subscribe and follow if you're listening to the replay on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. We really appreciate that. Anime Versal Reviews is doing a midnight run this weekend on Domestic Girlfriend. Really spicy anime, not the H word. We needed some help explaining it, so there's puppets, sort of. So
interesting.
If you're into anime, check that out Sunday. And then, of course, the Daily Cog, our daily show every Monday through Friday, talking about everything across the genreverse. Mike, what's going on with LRMonline.com?
Just kind of grinding through the news and, trying to report everything we can to you guys, or what we feel is interesting on the daily report. We got the podcast all up and running, whether it's this one right here, the Cantina, the Daily Cog, Anime Versal, like Kyle said. We have Breaking Geek, Nerdflix and Chill, Geek Movie Scholars. All we're trying to continue to expand. So if you feel like you have a podcast or you want to contribute to the site, contact me or contact anyone on the site. Let them know, hey, I'm a big fan of the site, or I've got a voice, I've got an opinion about something I want to share. Let us know, and we'll definitely get you guys on there.
Absolutely. With that, I don't think there's anything else to say or do, but see you next week, and may the force be with you guys.